glad to have you guys here. Um, and if there's anyone who is here for the first time, um, welcome. We're going to go through, if we do it right, we're going to go through a couple of cases. And you know what? I got to tell you guys, I'm not sure how long this session is supposed to be. I'm going to try and wrap up in an hour and a quarter and then leave us 15 minutes, which would make it an hour and a half. I'll leave us 15 minutes at the end to do some questions and things. Does that sound okay? And what we're gonna do, yeah, hour and a half, exactly right. Okay, so I'm gonna aim for an hour and a quarter, talking fast, and oh, here we go. I am an assistant. Oh dear, an AI assistant. Okay, well, welcome AI. That kind of anyway. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump in. And what I'd like you to do is if you have questions or comments when it comes time for questions and comments, go ahead and use your chat. I'll be checking that periodically. And yeah, so happy to have everyone on board. So this is the second of our four-part series on learning from cured cases. I'm Marcy Mearns, RS Home, and here's our agenda for the day. We always start these with looking at some of the master prescribers that we're going to follow. Today we'll review some. We'll look at Doctors E.A. Farrington and his son Harvey. And then I've got two cases prepared. We may or may not get to that second case. And as I said, at the end, we'll leave like 15 minutes to do some Q&A. And of course, as we go through the case, if you have questions or comments, feel free to make those. I will say that this presentation is not a how-to for the Radar Opus software. Okay, we do have lots of those available, and I've got one coming up, I think at the end of May, at the end of the Homeo Summit. Anyway, best idea is to simply follow along, and if you have questions or concerns about how I do what I do in the program, feel free to reach out, and we'll get you set up with some tutoring. Okay, so to start out our review, we've already talked about Margaret Tyler, so I just want to remind everyone about who she was. Dr. Tyler, a doctor who qualified as an MD at the age of 44, and you may probably have seen her book, Homeopathic Drug Pictures. I love this quote that I found from her down at the bottom of the screen. Read a drug each night before retiring. That's a way to really learn your materia medica, right? And so in some of our earlier sessions, we looked at her guidelines for evaluation of symptoms and repertorization, if you will, of a case. And her advice can be summed up in just a couple of lines. She prioritizes generalities and in a particular order, starting, of course, with mental symptoms, climatic being reactions to the environment, temperature, modalities, and so on. Then we have food desires and aversions. And she points out all of which must be markedly present to be of any value. And then on second order, the particulars of the complaint. Okay, so that's her synopsis of hierarchy of symptoms, shall we say. Another expert, this is who we looked at last time, was Dr. Erastus Case. And you may have seen his wonderful, wonderful little booklet called Cases. Let's look at Dr. Case's advice. This is what we worked with last month, I believe. Rule number 1, other things being equal, give preference to a mental symptom rather than a bodily or a physical. Rule number 2, if there's no peculiar mental symptom, use the most peculiar bodily one. His rule number 3, a common symptom by concomitance may become characteristic. And finally, for our follow-ups, in subsequent prescriptions, when the same remedy is not indicated, follow the latest symptoms which have appeared. Most of this is just common sense, but again, we're trying to dig back into the literature and some of our master teachers in order to perhaps say something that's going to resonate and remind us of how we want to organize our thinking. Okay, so for today's session, I've looked at E.A. Ernest Albert Farrington. And Dr. Farrington graduated from the Hahnemann Medical College in Philadelphia. Looks like maybe I misspelled Philadelphia there. Sorry about that. And right out the gate, he became actually a professor of forensic medicine. He moved on to be the chair of the pathology and diagnosis department, and then a professor of materia medica. Now, remember, this is in the days when the homeopathic medical colleges here in the US were teaching homeopathic doctors, medical doctors, if you will. And if you haven't run across E.A. Farrington, you might just get a level of respect that this gentleman had by this quote from Constantine Herring. When I'm gone, Farrington must finish my materia medica. Yeah, so really big guy. Here are some of the books you may be familiar with. You may have some of these in your library. His clinical materia medica is quite an extensive work. And of course, you'll notice here, I don't know if you can see this on your screens, but that actually was edited and updated by our other Farrington, who was his son, Harvey Farrington. Okay, so Harvey Farrington was the son of E.A. Harrington. He was also professor of materia medica, and he was a practicing MD. I found him right up until in the journals, right up until a couple of years before his death in 1955. So he really spanned the period of the Flexner Report and the collapse of the homeopathic medical colleges and so on and so forth, and was quite a well-known and well-respected doctor of homeopathy in his own right. And this little book that you see pictured here, of course, these are B. Jane publication copies of these books. This book is actually available in, at least I have it in my radar opus. And this is really a treatise on homeopathy and homeopathic prescribing. Very, very detailed. So let's just look at a little bit of the wisdom, if you will, from Harvey Farrington. Here he's going to, I just pulled a couple clips here about case taking. Okay. Experience has shown that it's best to allow the patient to tell the story in his or her own words without suggestions or interruption. I don't think we can remind ourselves too many times how important it is to just zip our lip and let them talk, even in acutes. Okay. Because most of what we look at, most of the way in which I use the learning here is when I'm in acute case-taking mode. But again, just as Dr. Farrington reminds it, don't interrupt the patient. Furthermore, when the narrative is concluded, review each statement, amplifying or correcting until you're satisfied the record is as complete as possible. Well, who else says all of this? This, of course, is directly from the Organon. So if you want to go back and review those sections, aphorism 84 starts the section on case taking, which when, of course, Hahnemann tells us we just let the patient talk till they're done, and then we go fill in the blanks. So it never hurts to be reminded just a little bit about case taking, right? So let us get to the wisdom of the day from Harvey Farrington. Remember, we looked at the hierarchy or order of symptoms from our other historical masters. So today we're going to work with the framework suggested by Harvey Farrington. And I'm going to, okay, nobody's chatted me a question. That's great. Let's carry on. So he puts in first order, as do all of our teachers, actually, the mental symptoms. The mental symptoms first, emotional, including sexual, then intellectual. Intellectual being like foggy thinking, that sort of thing. Confusion, right? In second order, Harvey Farrington suggests the remaining general characteristic symptoms and their respective remedies. Now, this would be like what Margaret Tyler had suggested, those general characteristic symptoms being the weather modalities, pardon me, food desires and aversions, and so on. Now, he's added a bit of a twist, and we're going to do this today, recording only those, in other words, only the general characteristic symptoms that are already listed under mentals. So he's doing a little bit of a step-by-step filtering process. He's going to say, okay, first I'm going to look at the mentals, Then I'm only going to look at the generals that also cover the mentals. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And then let's see what his third point is. Finally, all particular characteristic symptoms and the remedies under them. Again, omitting all those not found under the mental and physical generals in 1 and 2 above. So I think most of us may actually do this process without being so explicit about what we're doing. But I wanted to make sure that we use this approach, and we'll revisit this as we go through today's case. Okay? So far, so good. Yeah, we're looking good. So today's case is taken from E.A. Farrington, the Father's Lesser Writings and Therapeutic Hints. Okay, and I've taken the liberty of editing out just a bit of basically the result and the remedies. So I'll go ahead and read the case. Very straightforward. Mrs. C, dark complexion, dark brown eyes, has had for years uterine troubles, cancer of the left mamma, and was taking medicine for these general ailments. In the course of treatment, she caught cold and exhibited the following condition: headache in occiput and right temple, intermittent. Eyeball aches and feels as if there were a shot in it. Now, that's probably the patient's exact words, right? Beautifully done. Darting in right eye at intervals during the day, but in both eyes and much more severe at night. She says, I shall go crazy. Involuntary twitching of eyelid. Worst from light, especially gaslight. Worst from least noise, as others walking, etc. Gave remedy number 1 with no relief. I then studied remedy number 2, which I gave 2 doses of the 30th. So that's our case. And what I would say is it's a bit all over the map, isn't it? We get some history, then we get, oh, she got a cold, and now here's the case in front of us. But the symptoms are not particularly well organized. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. Let's go back to Harvey Farrington's schema, if you will. We want to look at the mental symptoms. And I got to ask myself, do we even have any? Okay. Here's what I found. See this bit? She says, I shall go crazy. That's straight from the patient's mouth. And we would like very much that mental symptom include our remedy, right? So just keep checking my little chat there. Okay, so what I'm going to say is if we take the time to review all of this carefully, what we're going to discover is that, got to silence my phone. There we go. That's it for mentals. So let's put that at the very top. And let's go ahead and go to our Radar Opus program. Marcy, brilliant. I actually worked the case up already. Okay. Now, what I want to do for you is let me walk you through what I did here. Okay. Whoops. Come on, Marcy. We want to look at these, and I just want to make sure, since if you are new, obviously, you may not have seen my little technique here. So now what did she say? Oh my gosh, already I forget. I shall go crazy. Of course, this was a case, no doubt, from the 1800s. So I'm thinking, okay, that's a mental symptom. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that where I started my repertorization was in my synthesis Adonis repertory. And I went straight to mind fear of insanity. Like, this is the thing. She thinks she'll go crazy, right? Just take that rubric, and I'm going to put it up on my first clipboard, which you see I already did. Now, what I love about this program, again, is that we have these cross references here. So I take a look. You see down here, these are hyperlinked. Delusions, one will become insane. You could also almost take it that far, right? So just for the sake of discussion, here's how this thing works. That's hyperlinked. I can just double click. And here's another rubric. All right. I believe I also added that one. Here, I'll try it. Yeah. See, once the symptom is there, you can't add it again. And I believe maybe I chose this one as well. Mind, he would go out of his mind. I think I took that symptom as well. Let's see if I did. Yeah. Okay. So I figured this covers that statement. I will go, whatever it was. Oh my gosh, I'm having a mental block. I shall go crazy. Okay. Now, we don't want to overrepresent this symptom. If we look down in the lower left-hand corner, we've used 3 symptoms and I've got 199 remedies to take into consideration for this patient. I don't want to overrepresent this, even though this really is our first filter, shall you say, or shall we say? So what I'm going to do, and I do this very often so that I don't overweight a particular symptom, is I'm going to combine all 3 of these into a group. So I highlight the 3. When I right click, I have a choice down here to group or combine rubrics. And I use the small letter designator here at the top. I like this first section where it says group. And I've got a letter that I selected of the small letter of the alphabet. And when I combine these, you'll notice that things shifted up here. My rubrics are all still there, but they have the letter A in front of them, meaning the program is considering them as though they were one symptom. See, calcarea has got a score of 1, as do all of the remedies in this list. So they're all grouped together. And I've still got 199 remedies. Okay, I just scrolled all the way down to the end. But basically what this operation is letting us know is that calcarea is not any more important, or manzanella or cannabis indica any more important than, let's say, bromine or the bromide group. As long as our remedy appears in one of these 3, we're going to be happy. Now, you remember the part of our schema here where the mental symptoms, we want to make sure that anything that comes later, any of our symptoms that come after the mentals, are going to also appear here. Now, the way that we do that is we turn this into what I call a filter, or in the language of the program, it's an eliminative rubric. So this is now a single rubric, and I'm going to highlight them all again, and I'm going to right click. Now, the qualification is right here. So instead of just a normal rubric, it becomes eliminative. And we'll see what that means when we go forward. But basically, I have turned this into a filter or a restriction. Any other clipboard that I look at, let's say I look at this one down here, this on clipboard 12, I think. Oh, I have the complaints of the uterus here. Everything that appears here on complaints of the uterus, as an example, is also included up here. Okay. Let me get rid of the complaints of the uterus for the time being. Somehow something felt like it didn't make sense there, but hopefully we're tracking along. Okay, so there's our first clipboard, and there's our mental pool of remedies, if you will. We are working with 199 remedies thus far. Okay, let us continue with our patient. Okay, here she says, I shall go crazy. I shall go crazy, and there's our first symptom. Okay, moving along, we now want to look for the remaining general characteristic symptoms, recording only those already listed under mental symptoms. Okay. General characteristic symptoms. Now, what I did is I broke that original case down. Here's all the text. All I've done in this format is I've broken down the various symptoms. Here she says she'll go crazy. And I got to be honest with you, take your time reviewing this. If you look at the recording, I don't find any other general symptoms. In other words, symptoms that are general to the patient as a whole. This is a little tricky because here we have worse from light, especially gaslight. Now, does that mean that's a symptom of the patient as a whole? Or is that particular to the symptoms in her eyes? I wasn't really sure, so I didn't want to make that a general symptom of the patient herself. Um, but I did take worst from least noise as others walking to be a symptom of the patient herself. Hopefully that's not overinterpreting, but I thought we better have at least one of these general symptoms of the patient. We really don't know much else about her, do we? There are no food desires and aversions. There are no temperature modalities. There's none of that stuff, weather preferences. So here we go. We're going to work with worst from least noise as others walking, etc. And I'm going to go to my program here. And I actually put those symptoms on the second clipboard. Okay. So what have we got here? Usually I would start probably just in the mind chapter. Let's just go to the repertory. And I would say mind, sensitive. Now I'm just doing this by typing. I'm not using my mouse, sensitive. And when this little hand over here is pointing to the rubric I want, this navigation window allows me to I can mouse down here where it says go to, but I don't have to. I can just hit the return key and I will dive down into that rubric with its subrubrics, mind, sensitive, and I'll start typing noise, N-O-I-S-E, hand pointing to noise, so I can use my enter key and enter one more time, mind, sensitive to noise. That's a nice rubric, 339 remedies. I would venture to say our patient will be found here. So this one we went ahead and put on that second clipboard. Now, I also took a look, just as I showed you previously, I took a look at the cross references. And, gee, we've got just lots and lots of choices here. But I thought if generalities might help, why do I have generals noises ameliorate here? That's odd. I just double click that noises ameliorate. Obviously that's not correct. Generals noises aggravate. This is great rubric because it's general to the patient, right? So I believe I've used that one. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at what I did for this second general characteristic of the patient. Oh, you remember she said, even the noise of people walking. Okay. So if I go back to my repertory, and we used a link to get over to noises aggravate. But once you're in the repertory, I can actually use this back button up here in the center, and it should take me back where I came from. Yeah, beautiful. And it did. Mind sensitive noise too. Now, if I use that function F3 key, it's going to bring up my navigation window, and I'm going to put walking. This was what I wanted, sensitive to the noise of walking. Hands pointing there, and the program automatically sends me over to stepping. Mind sensitive noise to the noise of stepping, and there's the rubric. Do we think our patient's remedy is here? Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of a small rubric, isn't it? But, for the sake of discussion, I've added that one as well. Okay, so let's look at that second clipboard, and hopefully you are all in agreement with me that with these 4 symptoms and the 348 remedies in that group, we're bound to find our patient, right? So I went through the same exercise here. I added these all to a group so they are considered as one symptom, sensitive to noise, and I also made that a filter. So when we look at the 2 clipboards together, the mentals and the general characteristic symptoms, look at those 2 together, and they've both been turned into filters. I am now working with the pool, if you look down in the lower left, of just 106 remedies. So if I scroll out here to the end, that's it. Those are the only remedies, according to our scheme from Harvey Farrington, that we're going to be working with. So far, so good? Okay. You're either all asleep or you're tracking. I'm going to assume you're tracking. Okay. So what did we just do? We did this. The remaining general characteristic symptoms, recording only those already listed under mental symptoms. The way I did that was to do that eliminative change qualification, turn that group into an eliminative rubric. Now, the beauty of doing it this way is I can always unleash them, if you will. So if I want to remove that from the filter category, I'll just go change qualification. When I turn this back to normal, look at this. I'm back up to 199 remedies. Okay. But again, we want to put a little choke on our analysis. Whoops. As per the instruction of our master today. So we're going to make that also a eliminative rubric. Okay. All good. Thank you, Christine. Beautiful. Okay. Let us carry on here. So that's our worst from least noise, as others walking, etc. And as we saw, the sensitive to noise of people stepping, I think that only had 9 remedies in it. The likelihood of solving the case with that rubric is pretty small. So we add it to the group, the larger group of sensitive to noise. And there's a screenshot of that one. Let's move along. Oh, I took the two together, just threw a shot of that. And as I said, as we saw, with the mentals and the generals, we're down to a pool of 106 remedies. Okay, so let's carry on with the case. Now, he's asking us to put all particular characteristic symptoms and the remedies under them. Okay, so sorry, can I explain again the meaning of an eliminative rubric? Yeah. Let's take a look here. The general characteristic symptoms, recording only, okay, this second requirement here, the general characteristic symptoms. Let's look at our analysis. These are our generals. And the only one that we're working with in this case is sensitivity to noise, right? We're calling that a generality in this case. What we want to do is we want to make sure that every remedy that appears in this rubric, in any of these rubrics, this is actually treated together as a group. And okay, this is treated together as a group. Now I'm going to do a little something here for you guys. We're just going to do a little exercise. I'm going to copy those rubrics. Okay, I'm just doing a copy. Bear with me. And I've got a blank clipboard down here. Clipboard 10. I'm just going to paste to that clipboard. So this is a little sidebar for you. Okay, here's that clipboard. Now, let me just loosen all of this. Okay, I'm going to turn this back to raw rubrics. Okay, I'm also going, I don't know why I keep doing that. I want to make those normal. And then I also want to ungroup them. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's look at this clipboard number 10. Those are our noise sensitivity rubrics. I've got 4 of them. One way to combine those into a single symptom is to highlight all 4 of them. And with a right click, I will select here group or combine rubrics. Now you saw the way I did it using the small letter. I think I put a letter D here. We do have another choice, and I'm doing this just so that you can see the method. This is not my favorite thing to do, nor do I recommend it, but it's here for you. And perhaps, perhaps you'll agree, perhaps you won't. So instead of doing the group that's up here at the top, let's combine them. So I'll choose this combine box down here. It says create a new symptom, combining the remedies of the selected symptoms. So all 348 remedies are going to go into one symptom called mind sensitive to noise. Delete the original rubrics and keep all the remedies. Okay, so let's see what happens on our clipboard 10 now when I combine them like that. Okay, there they are. I have effectively combined all 4 of these rubrics into one single rubric called mind sensitive to noise, etc. Now, the reason I don't like to do this is because once I've done the combining, there's no going back. I can't bring back the individual rubrics and look at them. So that's probably my biggest reason why I don't do this very often. But for the sake of discussion, we could say that this combined rubric with 348 remedies, we need to make absolutely sure that our patient falls within this group. That's what's being suggested today in this particular scheme. This would become an eliminative rubric. It's a little bit big to be an eliminative rubric, isn't it? With already 348 remedies. But the way we would do that is, again, the technique itself is with a right click, and we change that to be eliminative. What that means is that if, let me take this other symptom here again of the uterine complaints, right? The uterine complaints is just too small, isn't it? It's not going to work. Tell you what, you saw how I did the combining. I've turned that into an eliminative rubric. Let's leave that question to the side and all will become clear. Okay, fair enough. Who asked me that question? Oh, Christine. Okay, Christine, hang in there. Okay, it's going to become more clear a little later. And this clipboard 10, we'll just leave that there for now. Hopefully you all, that was your like bonus lesson on why Marcy does not like to combine in that fashion, why I always prefer to do the grouping. It takes a little more real estate, but again, I can ungroup them. And how do I know these are grouped? Because they've all got the letter D. That means the program itself is not it's not going to overemphasize any one of these. It's treating them as though they were this one single symptom. But I, as the prescriber, can still see them, can still see which remedy falls in which ones, and I can undo my work later if I'd like. Okay. And yeah, we are good to go. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. So we've got again our mentals and we've got our, now here's a perfect demonstration again of why, of how the eliminative thing works. Our mental symptoms have got 199 remedies. I'm always looking down in this lower left-hand corner. As soon as I throw in not just the mentals, but also the generals, that pool of remedies is restricted down. I've now only got 106 that are in consideration. That's because this second rubric, this eliminative rubric, if you will, has become a requirement. You'll notice if I scroll all the way out here, I don't have any remedies, even veratrum or zincum nitricum or whatever it is. Every single remedy of this list of 106 appears in the mentals at least once and in the physical generals at least once. That's the requirement. We want to be looking only at remedies that belong to the mental state of the patient and the general state of the patient. That's why I turned those into eliminative or filter rubrics at this stage. Okay? Hopefully that's clear and will become yet further clear as we go forward. Let us return. Okay. And come on, Marcy, where are you? Okay, we are down here now at all particular characteristic symptoms. Okay, so that's like all of our other good symptoms that we got in our case taking. Here they are. And the first thing I did, I'm going to show you how I organized this. This is just, to help us with our thinking. We already got the I shall go crazy. That was our mental. We got the worst from noise, and we're left with some other stuff. What did I do? I broke them down. I've got a head symptom, headache in occiput and right temple, intermittent. I've also got a bunch of eye symptoms, which I've also broken down. Now, here's something for you to contemplate. Which are the most characteristic of these particular symptoms? Okay. Well, while you're thinking about that, let's bring Hahnemann in. And, this is actually from a previous presentation, but I love what he says here. The more general and undefined symptoms like loss of appetite, headache, debility, restless sleep, discomfort, and so forth demand but little attention when of that vague and indefinite character. How many times does the patient complain about some tossing in their sleep? Restless sleep, discomfort, and so forth. We have to pay attention to those things. We have to listen carefully when the patient explains them. But at the end of the day, let's go back to this question. Let me pose that question again. Which of these sets of symptoms it has more character and more particularity to the qualities? I would argue that this headache in the occiput and right temple intermittent falls into this category that Hahnemann talks about here of that vague and indefinite character. Okay, fine. She's got a headache, occipital headache, and in the right temple, and it comes and goes. Okay, I'm already snoozing. On the other hand, eyeball aches and feels as if there were a shot, darting in the right eye at intervals, right? So this is all some really juicy stuff. Just can't wait to get her hands on it. And the light, exactly, works from the gaslight. This is all really great stuff right here. So there's Hahnemann. Thank you very much. And what I did then is I said to myself, well, I'm going to leave this kind of boring headache business for later. Actually, I did it, but I found it was a little boring and didn't take me. I had to go back to Hahnemann to get some guidance here. So let's go to this first of the eye symptoms, and I broke them down. I encourage you to do this. Once you've taken your case, you can break it up however you like. Eyeball aches and feels as if they were a shot in it. Now, honestly, I don't know what she's talking about here. Do you? I tried to do my best with this. So let's go to the program and let us go to what Marcy thought about that symptom. Oh, yeah, look at this. Eye pain as if from a foreign body. Look at that. Feels as if there's a shot in it. I don't know if she means like a piece of buckshot or does she mean an injection kind of a shot? I doubt it, not in those days. But I thought, okay, that's a really nice symptom, right? It's a good rubric. Let's go ahead and drag that one. Okay, yep, we know it's already there. And then we have, oh, I just said eye pain sore. I'm kind of just taking the patient very literally here. Let's see if I was true to what she said. Eyeball aches. Okay, she doesn't say my eyeball is burning, or anything. Ache is sore in our language, right? Unless she's more specific. She will be more specific later. And it feels like there's something in there. So I've got a clipboard here, which is clipboard number 3. And, this is just ragtag, right? But let's just take a quick peek now. And I'm using the command key on my keyboard. I have a Mac, and if I press and hold that command key, what it allows me to do is to turn on the display of other clipboards. On your Windows machine, I believe it's the window key. You can experiment with that. But you notice what I did here is I went and turned on my mentals, I turned on my generals, and I have now turned on clipboard number 3. And you see that things are beginning to organize themselves a little bit now. Okay. I've got now, if I scroll out here to the farther reaches of my analysis, I've got 67 remedies that cover at least one of my eye symptoms, as well as my mentals and my generals. Okay. We're not going to pay a lot of attention to that right now. We're just going to carry on with our characterizing the particular symptoms in the eye. Okay, so we got the eyeball aches and feels as if there were a shot in it. There's that one. I went on to this, to me, is just super exciting. Darting in right eye at intervals. Okay, so darting, what are we going to do with darting? At intervals, and were much more severe at night. Okay, so what did I do? Anybody want to venture what we're going to do for eye pain, eye darting? Let's just do it. Let's go to the repertory. Let's start typing. I enter. Let's put darting. Oh, we get Zippo. Nothing. How about I pain? Enter. How about darting here? Oh my gosh. There's I pain darting. And look, they sent me to stitching pain, as we knew they would, right? And is the pain intermittent? Yes, it is. It is described as an intermittent pain. Okay. Um, for now, um, I'm going to take the stitching pain, and I actually started a new clipboard for this. So remember, this is the one with the pain like a foreign body, the soreness. Here's the one for the stitching pain. And further, remember they said it was worse at night? Um, I actually managed to go to, let me back up, and I did it, eye pain at night. So we were in eye pain, right? And I said, well, let's see how it is at night. Remember, she said it was worse at night. So we could use that one, which I did. And then eye pain, stitching pain. Oops, stitching pain. Oh, like needles into the eyeball. Where did I get that other night one from? Let's take a look. Oh, it's eye pain night stitching pain. That's a beauty, isn't it? Like that's exactly what she has. On the other hand, there are only 18 remedies, right? But faithful to the cause, we're going to go ahead and throw that on there. And if I had to prioritize things, I would love my remedy to be in this rubric, wouldn't I? Let's look at the idea of eliminative again from a new angle right here on this clipboard number 4. Okay. Spontaneous. Look, I've got 3 symptoms here. There's stitching pain, 229 remedies. Here's pain at night, 77. This is the most characteristic, isn't it? What if I wanted to say to my software, I only want to see remedies appear that have this symptom? I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn it into an eliminative. Now, watch what happens. I've currently got, it says here, 245 remedies in these, just here. If I turn that into an eliminative, it's down to 18. Every remedy here appears in this one. This guy is running the show. You see? Let's turn it back to normal so you can see how. There. Now I've got lots of people in the running here. All the way, I've got, what does it say? 245 remedies in the running. But if I'm really strict in the moment and I said, well, no, I'm going to restrict myself to this one. Now look, let's have a little fun. Let's throw in the mentals and let's throw in the generals. There we go. Case solved, right? What do we give? Anybody want to throw something out at this point, or should we keep going? Come on. Live a little. Let's see if anybody's willing to live on the wild side. Yes, Spagilia, right? It really feels like a Spagilia case, doesn't it? Okay, so you got to stay tuned for the whole presentation. I'll tell you this. This is a no-no move in my book because we went from let's remove that restraint that we put there. We went from here 106 remedies in consideration. As soon as we we hitched our wagon to this one, our horse to this one, we narrowed the pool a little too much, didn't we? Because we're hanging the entire case on this rubric. Okay. And it's too small. So oh yeah, look, we hadn't even brought that one in. Let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, we could just have fun all day long with this. Yes, but Gelia's really looking pretty good, isn't it? Huh? Looking pretty good. But I got news for you. We're gonna unchain that one and keep going. Hopefully that explained now the the use of the eliminative rubrics. They're very, very useful. And it's not that you can't use them at any point in time, but you got to be careful because you can kind of restrict yourself a bit much. Oh, coffea. So we got a vote for Spagilia, aconite, and Julie likes coffee. I like coffee too, Julie, but I think I already had my quota for the day. Okay. You know what, guys? I got to tell you, I don't think we're going to get to the second case, which is fine because I blinded it. So what I'm going to do is invite you on our second little case. I'm going to ask you to work it up. And you can email me or what in the meantime on the second case. Does that sound like a plan? It's clear about eliminative. I'm so glad. And again, it's a fantastic tool. I do use it all the time, but be aware that you're hedging your bets quite a bit when you do that. Okay, so let's get back to the thing here so we can at least get all the way through. So there's their darting, and that it turned out to be stitching pain, and stitching pain much more severe at night. So hopefully y'all are good with me with that one. Okay, that's what I did there. And what's the next screen say? Oh, okay. So here's a look at the two eye pain things together. Those two clipboards. Let's look at those. Just clipboard 3 and press and hold the command key so I can look at both of those. Why does that look different than what I just had? Well, anyway, I don't know why that doesn't look the same as my screenshot, but we had a vote for Spigelia. We had Coffea. Where did Coffea go? And we had a vote for what was the other one somebody wanted? Aconite. Yeah, aconite sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Where's our aconite though? Oh, there it is. Okay. Um, yeah, Julie, you like a coffee because she's so nervous with the noise and all of that, right? Okay, I digress. Let us carry on here. Okay, so next one, involuntary twitching of eyelid. How many of us have had patients with twitching eyelids? Quite a few. Um, that's probably not the biggest characteristic symptom of the bunch. Nonetheless, I did my due diligence. Oh, wait a minute, Marcy. Whew, got ahead of myself. Okay, eye twitching lids. Okay, we can put it in there. It's got 184 remedies. It is not going to make or break the case, is it? What did we have before? We had this. Stitching pain and twitching lids, spigelia, aconite. I don't know where that coffea is. Oh, I bet you the coffea is not there in the mentals. Let's look. COF. Oh, yeah, there it is. See how I did that? If I want to find a remedy, I'm not sure where it is. If it's in my analysis, I can jump to it. Maybe. If the Zoom thing will get out of the way, I can. Oh my gosh. Just back up a little bit here. Yeah, I think there's the coffea. Oh, I see why you like that. I highlight this so we can look. Yeah, because of the sensitivity to noise. But look, there's no eye stuff, Julie. You got a thumbs down. Even if I put the other eye symptoms in here, clipboard 3, whoops, clipboard 3, coffea, I think is kind of down in the weeds there. Although, yeah, is it there with the twitching lids? Let's look. Okay. No, no twitching lids either. Sorry, Frank Coffea is going to fall out because she's not got any of our particulars of the eyes. We really do want at least some of these to appear for our selected simillimum, right? Okay, so I let's go ahead and go on to the worst from light. There's the twitching lids, worst from light, especially gaslight, and is that this one? Yeah. Boy, this took me a minute, because gaslight, um, you know, also comes under the heading of artificial light. Of course, we don't even have gaslight anymore, really. But at the time of the case, so we have to kind of think about the history of it all. I did a bunch of looking around for um, eye pain from light, eye pain, light aggravates, all of this. And you'll notice that I grouped them together. So even with these 6 symptoms grouped together, I've still only got 142 remedies in consideration here. And we have a little, how about mercurative? Mercurius. Yeah, Mercurius is right up there, isn't it? Let's look. Okay, let's take this one. So there I've got the photophobia from the gaslight. Let's put the mentals. Let's put the generals. Um, and oh, look at Merc. See, Mercurius is looking pretty good. What about that stitching pain? I think that was on number 4. There it is. Oh, Mercurius is looking better than ever, isn't it? Rock and roll. Okay, guys. Looking good. What about Stephosangria, for example? What about pulsatilla? You know, this is still a little bit mushy, right? Um, but I think we're almost there. So we got the worst from light, especially gaslight. There's that one. That is the group, if you remember. Now, could I have combined all those into a single rubric, said worst light? Absolutely. And if I had done that, I would have lost the detail here, which again, I love so much. Um, Now there was another clipboard that I did that I wanted to show you guys, and I think that's the photophobia. It's this one. I also took some stitching pain rubrics that are smaller. So you see here, remember we said in with this symptom that it's stitching pain and it's worse at night, right? Here's some more tiny rubrics having to do with stitching pain. Um, as if needles thrust into the eyeball. She didn't say that, but she did say darting. And we have stitching pain going in a couple different directions. These are good rubrics for us to know about. Okay, stitching pain inward, as if needles thrust into the eyeball, stitching pain outward. Okay. Um, Radiating from the eyes, that's a spigelia rubric. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that I took the liberty of making this other sort of little clipboard here, clipboard number 5. It's 39 remedies. Okay. Not gonna, again, it's not gonna make or break things, but if we take that one with our mentals and our generals, okay, there's that. What about the light? Is this the light? There it is. Okay. If we take this one with the needles is thrust in the eyeballs, good old spigelia, right? So let us go to our overview. Now, I know you can't see this very well, but this is clipboards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's everything, the twitching of the lids and all of that. Let me ask you now, given this, do you think that headache is going to help clear things up? Can I get does anybody think the headache, the occipital and the temporal headache, is that going to like help us out here? Yeah. It's a snooze, isn't it? Here it is. Here's the headache. And remember what it said was intermittent. Intermittent headache is kind of it's kind of much. Like, is it paroxysmal? Is it periodical? Are they intermittent pains? I mean, you tell me. I took all this and threw it together into one group. Here, see the letter T? Because I was like, wow, that's a lot. So, and occipital pain, head pain in the occiput, head pain in the temples. Those are both huge rubrics. Just as Hahnemann said, this is kind of kind of falls flat, doesn't it? It's not going to help us at the end of the day. It's not going to solve the case, right? So, there's the headache. I put it in, and this is basically what we get when we put the headache in and we put all of that. So who would like to go out on a limb now and tell me what they think E.A. Farrington gave? Remember, he gave 2 remedies, though. What does he give the first time? Don't think too long. Oh, yeah, she had uterine issues too. Okay. Those were old. Yes, but she did. But that's excellent. She had uterine issues. Good observing. Semicifuga we have. Spigelia we have. Anybody else? Oh, you guys are great. Okay, well, listen, suspense, isn't it? It's very suspenseful. Let us go to now. Remember, and what I love about this case is he had to prescribe twice. Okay, he gave Spagilia, right? He decided to go ahead with the Spigelia. Oh, and there my cat just hope she didn't step on anything. There we go. Um, yeah, that was the first prescription. Okay. And we can kind of see why, like, anybody would do that. Here it is. And let me just right click so that I can highlight. Whoops, maybe I can highlight that remedy. Sometimes, yeah, highlight this remedy. Not really big on the maybe they'll become insane, right? Not big in the mentals, not big in the generals, but it's there. As long as it's there, we're good. It's when we get into the stitching pains, the twitching in the lids, but look at the photophobia business. Clearly, he wasn't paying attention to that part, was he? Okay. Or he didn't care. Yeah. Now, someone said, what about the uterine complaints? And so you'll see here on clipboard 12, I actually have this rubric for complaints of the uterus. Let's just say in very general terms, she had female issues, right? So let me see what someone said. Spagilia is more left-sided focus. That's true. However, I would argue that there's not much of a sided focus in this case, one way or another. So if it doesn't come up, it doesn't mean that it's not an issue of Spagilia, but it's not an issue in this case. What if we take this one? Here we got Spagilia did not work. Okay. We know that was choice number 2. What if we decide to get back into the female complaints side of things? And let's turn this one into an eliminative. So we're going to filter out anything that doesn't also have uterine complaints, right? Eliminative rubric. Bye-bye, Spagilia. And where are we? Somebody already. Second remedy, sepia. Okay. Great choice. What happened to sepia? Yeah, because of the female thing. She had the breast cancer. There's our sepia right there in position number 5. Sepia is looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go back up to the top of the screen here. Now I could make this smaller, but then I can't see it. So let's look at the mentals here a bit. Where's sepia? Oh yeah, fear of insanity. Okay. What about delusions? One will become insane. Yeah, we got another little comment. Aconite has more intense mental symptoms. This is true. Okay. One thing we can do is we can focus in on, well, you know what? Let's try this. And I'm just playing around right now. Up here in the upper left-hand corner, where we have the chess piece, I can actually change the strategy. Let's put it on small remedies. Okay, say, well, I tried Spagilia, didn't work. Oh, Simicifuga. Who knew? Gelsemium. Okay, so that's a way we could go. We could go, oh, I never thought really about Simicifuga, but look at this. Look at Simicifuga. Got all the right stuff. Oh, I didn't think about gelsemium, but it still comes through. When these small remedies still come through, there's some value in looking at them. I could also do, instead of sum of symptoms, sort of degrees, I could do sum of degrees. So this means if the remedy is in a higher degree in a rubric, it's going to move it up a little bit. That brought sepia up. Okay, couple more comments, and then we're going to go. Oh, calcarea has a fear of insanity very strongly. Yes, it does. And later, if I haven't already, can I explain the difference between eliminative and the excluding filters? I'm not sure I understand. Are you talking about where I right click here and say Consider only the remedy, limit to the family members, for example. I'm not sure what you mean by the excluding filters. Um, exclusive rubric. Oh, um, exclusive. Let's do this. Let's change this last one. Remember, we made this a filter. We said if you're not in the uterus complaints, we don't want to hear from you. Let's turn that into its opposite. First, let's put it back to normal. Oh, and let's also change to sum of symptoms sort of degrees. Okay. This is our analysis as it stands with the uterine complaints flat. If I make that exclusive, what we will see is any remedy that appears in that rubric is going to disappear. In other words, we said, don't show me any uterine complaints. Okay. There's a time you can use this. I've begun to use this every now and again lately, but hopefully that picture's worth 1,000 words there. I'm going to go ahead and put it back to eliminative. Okay, and I'm going to look a couple more comments and then we're going to have the unveiling. Did that help? Yeah. That's a really great question. And I will say there are actually some times when you might find that to be useful. Let us return after one more question and or comment. Oh, sulfur someone wants. Okay. Well, people, I got to tell you, it goes down to the original predisposition of the patient with the female complaints and the mentals. Let's see if it's on this screen. I can't remember if it's on the screen. Gave Spagylia, no relief. I then studied remedy number 2, which I gave 2 doses of the 30th. Let's see what happened, and then I'll give you guys a chance to weigh in again. So I have underlined, remember, she had uterine troubles, cancer, breast cancer she had. Here's what happened after she got the correct remedy. A heavy pain in the right ovary disappeared. Wow. Madam, you didn't tell us you had a heavy pain in the right ovary, did you? Then she could lie on her side. So there's a lot of female stuff here, right? And a troublesome leukorrhea of several months standing ceased entirely. Let me tell you something. People do this all the time. The patient does not tell us all this stuff that's going on. But indeed, these are the symptoms that disappeared after the administration of the correct, in this case, remedy number 2. So with all of that in mind, let us look again, and here's what we can do. Sometimes when we can't see our entire display because I'm trying not to make it too small, is we can just collapse these. Notice here to the left where it says clipboard 7, I can kind of collapse those. They're still there, but we're not seeing the entire display as readily. Okay. All right. Does anyone want to opine now? One more shot, and then we're going to go ahead with the remedy, and we're going to look at some differentials real quick and zip it up. So, calcarea is a great thought, isn't it? Yeah, let's just give calcarea. Yeah, Christine, right. Well, I got news for you. So we had a sulfur, we have a calc, we had a mercurius. What about pulsatilla? She had the ovaries, she had the leukorrhea. Pulsatilla kind of has the fear of insanity. Okay. No one else willing to opine in this moment. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go to, I don't think I actually have it written out here, but I have the differential search for you. So you will see I screenshotted this that I made. Okay. So the remedy that was given in this case was simicifuga. Okay. And what you see here is a search that I set up, and we're going to take a look at how this works. Okay, so let's go to let's go to our program. So it was Simisafuga. Here's Simisafuga in position 13. Let's highlight that one really quickly and see. Um, I think we can do something called, where is that? Consider only the selected remedies. Watch. Simisafuga. Okay. This is a big one. Delusion, she will become insane. Remember, this is the one that's like postpartum. Simisafuga thinks she's going to go totally wonky, totally crazy. Fear of insanity. So she's got the noise sensitivity, got the sore in the eyes. There's a stitching pains. Um, no twitching lids. Thankfully, we didn't hang our hat on that one. She does have some photophobia. Remember, Spagilia had nothing here. It's interesting that it's there for the head pain and the complaints of the uterus. So Simisafuga is the remedy that was given based on all the indications given in the case. Now, let us see how we might look at some differentials here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the advanced search, which if you don't remember, just here at the very top where it says search, and then if you mouse down, you'll see advanced search. This is the one we like to use. Okay. Oh, and I've already got it all set up. Actually, let me show you how to set this up if you don't already have it set up. Here's an eraser. So I'm going to clear it all out. And I'm going to start in the remedies section here in this field. And I'm going to type, I want to look at two remedies side by side. So I want to look at Spagilia, since that was where he started, right? Spagilia. And if I type the period for my abbreviation, it gives me the most common Spagilia. Enter, enter. Everything looks blue. I could search from here, but I also want to search Simisafuga, C-I-M-I-C, period. Enter, enter. So I've got my remedies set up. And over here now, I want to look at, let's just say, the mind symptoms. So I'm going to put the word mind in here. Enter, enter. And this is set up to search in all repertories. Okay, so I'm just going to launch the search. This will be our first go at things. And in the Synthesis Adonis, which is the latest and greatest repertory, the one I'm using here, I get 86 rubrics. Now, what are these 86 rubrics? These are the ones that have both of my remedies. Okay, how useful is that? Not so much. What I would like to have is I'd like to see them separate. I'd like to see maybe this one, symptoms for each remedy individually. You see, I click right here, symptoms for each remedy individually. Let's run it again. And now, see, there are two tabs down here. This one that's in pale blue says Mind Simisafuga. Simisafuga's got 403 rubrics in mind. And this tab over here, Spagilia has got 315. So I could sit here and I could read through all of those and I would get a picture of, why has it got, oh, where they're common, where it has both remedies, you'll see them both appear, even though these are the ones that have Spagilia. There's a third option. Instead of doing two searches, this is the one I use most commonly. This one, last one here, called common and exclusive. When I run that search, I'm going to get 3 results. Okay? Watch and learn. I now have 1, 2, 3 different results tabs. This first one are the common mind symptoms for both Spagilia and Simisafuga. You see here, mind, Spagilia, and Simisafuga. Here is Spagilia without Simisafuga. And here is Simisafuga without Spagilia. I can go through these and I can begin to get a picture of the differences between the two. Interestingly, even just at first glance here, you'll notice in Simisafuga, we have anguish with retained placenta. We have anxiety after abortion, anxiety during menopause, menses. There's a lot of female symptomology with Simisafuga, as we know. Okay, now the search that I did, and this is what I want to show you guys. Now, I could save this search and come back to it later. I actually created one already, and I'm just going to do this. So if I wanted to save it, I would just click on this little uh, floppy disk, and it'll allow me to give that a name, test search. Okay. And then forevermore, I could recall that at any time. I don't have to type it all in. I'm going to recall the one I did for today, which was this one. And here's what I did. This is kind of handy. This is already set up. I got the remedies there. I got it set up the way I want them. And here are all these words. Now, I don't want to search them all at once. So they're there. I'm just going to uncheck the boxes. The first one I want to search for is the word fear with all of these. And I'm going to search in all. I'm just searching repertories because otherwise we'll be here all day. This is probably a little better than the mind symptoms. I got 3 results. First one is fear for both of those remedies. Here's Simicifugus fears by themselves without spagilia. Fear of death, fears people might kill her. Yeah, this is like that insanity part. And then the fears of spigelia without Simicifuga are much less. Yeah. So I could do the same thing here. I could uncheck fear and I could say, well, what about the cancer that she had? Let me look at both of those with relation to the word cancer. Okay. And cancer with the, okay. There are no rubrics that have both of those. Maybe I should have used tumor, not sure. So Simicifuga primarily, I thought this was interesting. I could not find the breast cancer with the Simicifuga. But there is, you know, cancerous diathesis and spagilia. Yeah, got the uterine cancer there. So that maybe goes a little more in the direction that we might think. But this is how you would run a differential when you get down to the point of you're trying to figure out between one and another and you want to go read a little bit more. This is one way to do that. And, you know, I might say, well, let's look at the differences with the eye. And, you know, maybe I want to put a third remedy. Maybe I want to put calcarea in here as well. And I want to run all 3 and I want to look at the eye symptoms. This is just a great tool for you to use. But what I need to say, I'm going to go back to my presentation now. So there's the case from practice. This that you see, the bonus case, guess what? You're going to love this. How easily we may spoil a cure. She was attacked with chill and fever of the following description. You got a lot of homework here, and I have purposefully covered up the solution. So we'll save that either for next time or it'll be sent out. I think I can have him send it out if you guys want to work on it, and then we can go over it next time. So I'm going to skip straight to this. Join me for Homeo Summit. If you haven't already seen, I'm going to give you guys right here. Watch this. Can I copy the link? What I want to do is I want to chat this link to everybody. So if you do decide, oh, silly. If you do decide that you want to register for this thing, of course, it's free to register unless you want to buy the access for later. If you, why is that not working? If you buy the access for later, I make a little money, not much. But I would love to have you, join me because what I'm going to do in that presentation is I'm going over fevers, and it's more really for parents. But if you are interested in going over some basics of treating fevers at home, there's the registration link. So that's a free, and there are literally just dozens of great sessions that are coming up that week of May 20 through 24. So I would encourage you to sign up for that. Even if you don't decide to buy later access, you'll have all of that. Our next meeting presumably is on the 22nd, which is mid Homeo Summit. Not my first preference, I think, because everybody's going to be doing Homeo Summit. Who wants to come to this, right? So I'm going to see if we can push this one out until the last week of the month of May, which would be the 29th. So stay tuned for that. Yes, to answer the question, these Homeo Summit presentations are all completely free, provided you attend at the time that they're being shown. So if you go there and you watch the presentation and you can see the schedule there on the website. So if you go there and you watch the presentation during that time, it's absolutely free of charge. If you want to have access later, you have to pay some money and so on and so forth. The usual kind of setup like that. Okay. So I am now going to, yeah, I think we're basically right on time if you guys want to ask questions in the open question portion. So if no one has any questions, I'm not sure what we'll do. General questions regarding the case that we did today or anything else. I'm very happy that you guys got something from this. I really, really appreciate that. And I see Anna has raised a hand. Okay. Anna, I don't know if we can see you other than, oh, it says allowed to talk. Talking permitted. You want to try saying something, Anna? We're listening, hoping this thing is going to work. I wonder if I promote you to a panelist, you'll be able to speak. Anna, if you have a question, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, good. Hey, when I use the um, software and I have the grid up with all the remedies and stuff, when I click on the remedy above, it just doesn't go to the keynotes. Do you know how I can get it to do that when in the repertory window?
Oh, okay. Let me see if I'm understanding your question. So we're going to go to our analysis grid. Let me clean remedies filters here. So what you'd like to do is point to one of the remedies here and get some keynotes. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Nothing
Okay.
happens.
Great question. And sometimes nothing happens because there may be something with your installation that we don't know about. What I suggest you do, though, is just point to the remedy, and I'm going to try it right here. I'm going to double click, and voila, a remedy information window opens. Okay. You'll see that this is a tab here now labeled Calcarea carbonica in the pale
Right.
blue.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there are keynotes, if the remedy is included, and most, obviously our polycrests would be there, you'll have some keynotes here. You will find remedies that don't have keynotes, but you've also got this button up here that will
Mhm.
allow you to search for the remedy in, for example, all open repertories. And that'll launch a search right from there for Calcarea. Okay. I
It
can
must.
also, from within, this same technique will work from within the repertory itself. All the remedies are hyperlinked. So, for example, this dinosaur, if I double click, the remedy window, the remedy information window opens, tells me the name of the remedy, and voila, I thought there wouldn't be any keynotes, but there they are.
Yeah. It
Okay,
must
does
be
that
the
answer your question?
installation. Must be the
Yeah.
installation because I just don't get any keynotes
Okay.
when I have a grid up and I click on it. I used to be
All
able to
right.
do it till I
Well,
updated it.
go ahead and check then with tech support and see if you can get some help with that. And thank you
Okay.
for the question.
All right.
Okay, and we have Nima. I'm going to see if I can, if you would like to ask a question. Nima, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Oh, you're muted. Do you want to unmute yourself? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Is this Nima? How do you say your
Yes,
name?
yes.
Yes, go ahead.
When you're doing the differential between the two remedies,
Mm-hmm.
is there like a grid that we can see? In the old radar, there used to be a very nice grid, and it would give you also the grading of the remedies.
Yeah. Um, the only kind of a visual, if you will, that looks like a grid
Yes.
is going to be available with this graphical display of the search result. And it's not going to give you the same kind of result that you're necessarily looking for. I remember that was pretty cool. But let's
Yes.
let's try. Yeah, this, I dare do not go into it right now because it's going to confuse us. It's a rather large topic. I will, but let me give you one example.
Okay.
Let's search for calcarea and let's search for thirst. Okay, just as a very quick example, and we're going to search in open repertories only.
Okay.
Okay, and when I launch the search, oh, that's not so bad. Wait, let me make sure that I symptoms with all these remedies. Okay, run the search. Now, so we searched for calcarea. Oh, I want to get rid of that one. We searched for thirst with calcarea, and I'm looking at the results in FATAC. There
Okay.
is this button, and if you didn't figure out, I'm feeling my way into this. Let's try a graphical display of the search results, shall we? See that button?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what they've done is they have taken our search, which is the word thirst with calcarea, and they've given us a bar graph. Here's, I find it very difficult to interpret this in any way, shape, or form. However, let us say that that was our thirst for calcarea. Okay, let's go
What if
back.
you change the 3D bar graph to some
That makes
other?
no difference. You are
Okay.
well, I'm doing this so that you can play with it. And I would
Okay.
be happy to, that just changes that.
Okay.
I would be happy to do a bit more of an there is a way that you can get some information from this, but it's not what you're looking for.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, well, if my memory serves me correctly, I do. But let me show you what you can do, and then I would loose those of you who are interested to play around with this. So
Okay.
here's the original search we did. Now, if let's say I want a graphical representation of my patient, of my case. So I got um, thirst with the calc carb. Um, let me say that I want to do, let's not remove this one altogether. See, I've got a results tab down here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's add, you see here where it says plus and it has like another search. Okay, see
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Let's add a new search and let's put um, ice. Okay, like maybe ice water. Okay, let's put ice water. Now I'm just going to search ice water. Okay, irrespective of the remedy. And
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the search. I don't think I need to do the search before. I think I can just hit that button and watch what happens now. So there's my thirst and calc, and there's my ice and water. Okay, and let's say, let me go back to the search, and let's say there's one more symptom for this patient. So I'm going to add a new search, which would be, um, you know, sleep, sweat. Okay, sweat's probably not
Okay.
even right. It should be perspiration. Okay, so that's my third search. I'm just going to go straight for the button. Okay, watch what it does. It gives me the thirst. It gives me the ice and water. I guess it's not going to give me the third one unless I do it from here. After I've done it, now I can throw it on the graph. Yeah, where I mistook where I made a mistake was doing thirst with the remedy here because what I really want, let's get rid of thirst calc. See, I can unclick. So now I have a search for ice and water, and I have a search for sleep and perspiration. And phosphorus comes up number one, silica comes up number two. I can actually now go to Pulsatilla, double click on that, and it's going to initiate a search for thirst. Yeah, I think it runs the search again with just Pulsatilla or Pulse and Calc. Anyway, you see why I didn't want to go here?
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who are feeling adventurous, remember, you can't make a huge mistake. Because why? They gave us a giant eraser right here. See that? We'll click on the giant eraser and everything's gone. Oh, but I still have that analysis thing. See, it's a different tab. I'll just close it and be done. Okay, those were great questions. We've got time, I think, for oh, it's 5:27. Yeah, we got time for one more question. Anybody else with a question or comment? And I'll see if I can like unmute you. Okay. Well, this was really fun. I hope that you who took the time to attend had as much fun as I did preparing these. I really enjoyed. And I would say this, yes, you may send me an email if you have a question. Let me put that my email here. And you can also let me do this one. No, I better do my Gmail. Sorry. Um, you can also find me online. It's just marcymearns.com. That's my coaching website. And I do this, you know, one-on-one stuff. If if you have cases that you want to work with somebody or you just want a handhold, um, and obviously, you know, questions about what we did today or, you know, the idea of the kind of cases that you'd like to do. I've got two more of these scheduled. So there's one for May and then again in June. And oh, I know. Also on the 26th of May, I believe that's the Sunday, Friday. Yeah, I am doing, there's a whole day of Radar Opus trainings. It's part of the, again, it's part of the Homeo Summit thing. And we've got presenters like all day long. Mine is the, the very last one at the end of the day. And it's the super duper newbie one. So if you want to like crawl through the program, please feel free to sign up for those free sessions as well. And I'd be happy to see you there. Okay. Yeah, so you have my email, you have all you need, and it's been really fun. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And if there's any way that I can be of service to anybody, there it is, marcymearns.com. Okay. And of course, you know how to get hold of Radar Opus. Yeah. So until next time, thank you so much, everybody. Be well and see you soon.